Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies, and this is Freedom. The Soul Needs Opportunity for Adventure by Frater E.J. Walters. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 11, Number 1, February 1933. Freedom, The Soul Needs Opportunity for Adventure by Frater E.J. Walters. The philosophy of the East tells us that the man who seeth around him the manifold goeth from death to death, but he who beholdeth the one, he hath seen the vision, and holdeth power in the hollow of his hand. To the mind which is completely enslaved by the limitations of the material world around it, life certainly presents a series of deaths. Such a one is either borne down by a load of material care, or else he bemoans the lack of material blessings sufficient wherewith to carry on. He sees around him a vast multitude of material, finite things, and sees himself in the midst of them as a material, finite being. As a consequence of this realization of his surroundings and of himself, he suffers many physical and mental bumps and bruises in attempting either to avoid or to possess certain of these finite creations. He realizes evil as a creative, originating power, seemingly bent up upon his individual destruction, using these material things with which to attain its diabolical end. He becomes bewildered and discouraged when these material things seem either to rudely buffet him or elude his grasping hands altogether. Each bruise and buffet becomes to him as a death of the spirit within him, and he dies these deaths many times during a lifetime. Life becomes to him a round of misery to be compensated, he hopes, at some future time in a realm of endless bliss, or even worse, a span of heartbreaking toil between two eternities. All such attitudes of mind bespeak a realization of man as himself a finite animal being, and the butt of a finite material and heartless world. Those who reason in this manner are like those who, having seen a flash from one of the facets of the jewel of truth, are persuaded that they possess the whole gem, and in this belief have created for themselves a realization of the universe around them which, because it is far from complete, presents the shocking appearance or aspect which all incomplete things more or less present. They accept the animated body of man for man himself, and the finite creations around them for the creator thereof. If they ever knew, they have forgotten that every material creation of man first existed in the mind of man as an image, and that every image of God, even man himself, first existed as an image in the mind and consciousness of God. If the mind and consciousness of God constitute the soul of man, it would seem the most logical conclusion that in order to know God, man must first of all learn to know himself. Anatole France has somewhat said that the true critic is he who relates the adventures of his soul among masterpieces. The spiritual life, which is the true freedom, and which takes into consideration far more than the material world and the things thereof, is the adventure of the soul among the masterpieces of God. The Beethovens, Da Vinci's, Michelangelo's, Einstein's, and Shakespeare's are the true critics of the masterpieces of God, because they relate the experiences of the soul among them. The great mystics, masters, and philosophers are the true guides and conductors along these many roads of adventure. He would deny the existence of matter, would deny the soul a realm wherein to adventure. He is a kind of spiritual Don Quixote, tilting at materialistic windmills. He is like the careful but short-sighted mother who, fearing for the morals of her child, denies him companionship with other children. She forgets that it is the lightning and the storm which test the oak, and that the strength of the tree rests not in the quietude of its surroundings, but in the depth of its roots. The true denial would consist not in the non-existence of matter, but in the non-existence of the power of matter over the soul. True freedom consists in the conscious adventuring of the soul among the masterpieces of God. Anything less than this is bondage. This alone is life. All less than this becomes mere existence. The masterpieces of God are created in a material world. But since they are the finite creations of an infinite mind and consciousness, they are as much a part of God as the picture is of the artist who made it. If, as has been said, the mind and consciousness of God constitutes the soul in man, then, since these material creations are a part of God, they cannot exist apart from the soul. The soul in man is not something only a few possess, but is possessed in common by all mankind regardless of color, race, religion, sex, or social status. It is in this possession of the divine spark that men become free and equal, and the material creation in all its manifold forms is something to be used as the adventure ground, not of a few, but of all who will rise above the dead level of mere existence. The true basis of the possession of material things is that they might be more available to all mankind, not alone for his creature comfort or useful enjoyment, but for the stimulation of his creative imagination and his spiritual development. To possess things merely for one's own personal aggrandizement or private profit is to deny not only one's neighbor, but oneself also. When closely analyzed, the results of such thinking lead to such a condition as that of the rich young man spoken of in the Bible. He was so full of his possessions that he could not understand what it was that he lacked. This thing that he lacked was the knowledge that matter is a fluid essence in which the soul works as does an artist in his medium. If the material world were not necessary for the soul's development, it would not exist, and we would not be here in it. A man may pay a great price for the canvas of a master painter, and still not possess that painting, though it hang for years upon the wall of his home. Only he who allows his soul, that is, who realizes the desire of his soul to venture into that canvas, possesses it. The adventurer, the artist, and the picture then make the triangle of perfect manifestation. The picture becomes the fusing point where the soul and creator and perceiver meet, fuse, and become one. And now to the kernel of the matter, the soul of the creative artist, the soul of the perceiver of the work, and the soul of the legal owner of the picture are one and the same soul. They were one in the beginning, are now, and ever shall be. But who has realized it? The artist realizes it in his attunement with the divine source of his inspiration while engaged in the production of his masterpiece. His work would not be what it is if he did not do so. He who enters into the work of the artist in spirit realizes it, because he realizes his attunement with the divine source when he sees his spiritual self reflected back to him from the canvas. This particular owner of this particular picture has never realized anything at all outside of the fact that he possesses so much wood, canvas, and paint. Someone has told him it's worth so much money because a famous painter painted the picture. He who dwells in the realization of the realm of the soul is free, because the realm of the soul is infinite, boundless, and intensely fluid. He who dwells in the realization of the realm of matter only is bound, because matter is finite and limited, unless it be used for the purposes of the Spirit. The Christ Spirit, the divine creative principle in every man calls, "Ho, all ye who thirst, come unto me, and I will give you of the water of life." We do not heed because, O mockery of the truth, we are too busily engaged in earning a living. Life cannot be earned or bought or grafted for. To earn a thing is to get a thing. All we can earn is an existence, for man does not live by bread alone. Living presupposes giving, giving service, giving brain power, giving muscle energy, giving friendship, giving ourselves. Living and loving are one and the same. Life is love and love is God. Love asks no reward because it is an eternal giving, and like virtue, it is its own reward. The artist gives love in his art, and his art breathes back love like a benediction upon whosoever attunes himself with that art. God gives love in his continuous creation of the material world, and the love thus made manifest in that world is ours if we but attune ourselves to the soul of the universe. For the final goal of the soul's adventuring among the masterpieces of God is to find him. Empedocles has told us that the elements of the things outside us are perceived by these same elements within us, the universe reflects back to us just what we are ourselves, no more, no less. If we are unconscious of the soul within us, how can we be conscious of the universal soul without us? Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Seek, and ye shall find. This is the commandment which will send the soul adventuring among the masterpieces of God, that it may find itself again, and in so doing attune with it, and unite with the oversoul, and know that the two are one. Look not afar from this God of your heart, for the kingdom cometh not with observation. Develop yourself by concentration, meditation, and attunement. Listen for the still, small voice, which shall come as a word from behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." When you would turn to the right hand or to the left, learn to rely upon this inner guide and cease to hope for aid from any outside source save only from those who, having themselves traversed the path, can point the way. Even they can only point. It is you who will have to walk it. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.